Okay, so have you ever like taken a bite of something and thought, whoa, hold on, this is amazing.
Yeah.
How did they even come up with this?
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole secret world of like flavor that we
Yeah.
don't even know about, you know?
It's true.
And we're just experiencing like the tip of the iceberg.
Definitely. Yeah. Our senses are constantly stimulated, and we don't even realize it half the time.
Exactly. And that is what today's deep dive is all about. Sensory scientists. These are the people who like decode those delicious mysteries, right?
Yeah.
And they make a career out of it. We've got some excerpts from RoleCatcher.com, and it's all about what these like sensory gurus actually do. And get this, the field is like blowing up right now.
Yeah, it really is. It's really interesting to see. We're seeing a projected 6% growth rate over the next decade, which just shows how important these sensory experiences are becoming in today's world, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So it's
Yeah.
not just someone in a white coat tasting stuff all day.
No, no, not at all. It's way more dynamic than that. Sensory scientists are using both like traditional sensory evaluation techniques, but also like cutting edge technology to understand how we perceive the world.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. What does like a day in the life even look like for a sensory scientist?
Well, they do a lot of sensory evaluation, which can involve anything from, tasting new foods or analyzing fragrances, like for household cleaners.
Yeah.
They're looking at taste, smell, texture, even just the appearance of something. And they use really specific methods to describe and then quantify their perceptions.
Okay, so it's not just, oh, this tastes good or this smells weird.
Right. They are using their trained senses, but they're also looking at the hard science behind it all. They're analyzing data, they're looking at consumer trends, and they're figuring out how to make products that people will actually like.
Wow. Okay, so they're like detectives. But for our senses,
I like that. They're really trying to understand the why behind what we like and don't. Like, why do we find certain flavors appealing? Or why do some smells bring back memories? It's about connecting those dots between sensory input and our emotional response.
that's really interesting. And where do they actually work? Is it like sterile labs, top secret kitchens? What's going on?
You'll find them in all sorts of places. Labs are common, of course, yeah, because a controlled environment is super important for accurate testing, obviously. But they might also work in places like manufacturing facilities, making sure that products meet certain standards. And believe it or not, some sensory scientists even work in offices, collaborating with marketing teams or maybe doing consumer research.
So you don't need like a super powered sense of smell to do this.
It helps to have a good sense of taste and smell, sure, but it's more about training those senses to be analytical tools.
Okay, so it's like you're saying they're learning to use their senses, like they're scientific instruments. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. But like, what about the rest of us who weren't exactly like born with a super nose or a golden tongue? Can we still like learn something from this?
Absolutely. One of the big takeaways from the RoleCatcher stuff is that a lot of the skills that sensory scientists have to learn, they're actually useful in a lot of different fields.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, well, think about it. They have to be super observant, really detail-oriented, and they're always looking at data and looking for patterns, drawing conclusions from what they're seeing. Those are good skills to have no matter what you do, right?
Sure. Yeah. Especially now that like everything's about data, it seems like.
Exactly. And on top of that, they've got to be good at communicating. They need to be able to explain their findings to people with writing it out and saying it out loud. Plus, they work in teams a lot of the time. So collaboration is important and just generally knowing how to talk to people.
Yeah, that makes sense. So being a sensory scientist is about a lot more than just like having good taste, I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, for sure. It's about critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, all that good stuff.
So someone's listening to us right now.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, maybe I want to do that. Like, what's the path even look like?
Well, like a lot of other fields, it usually starts with a good education. A lot of sensory scientists have backgrounds in food science, sensory science, chemistry. Some even come from studying psychology.
Wow, okay.
And RoleCatcher talks about how networking is really important. Going to conferences, joining professional groups, that's how you meet people and keep learning new stuff. Because this is a field that's changing really fast.
So you got to like stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you've gotten your foot in the door. What's next? You start as like
What?
a junior coffee sniffer or
Yeah.
something, and then work your way up to like chief flavor officer.
I don't know about that title.
Just kidding.
But I do like it. But yeah, no, seriously, there are different paths you can take. Some people start in more technical roles, maybe helping out with evaluations or analyzing data. Others go straight into product development, working with food scientists and flavor experts.
Oh, cool.
And then as you get more experience and you build up your expertise, you can move into more specialized roles. Maybe you focus on a specific type of product, or you even start leading a team of your own.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's talk about, the elephant or maybe the durian in the room here. We've talked about what sensory scientists do, where they work, how to become one. But why does all this even matter to, the average person, someone who's not trying to, make a career out of their nose, right?
It's a great question, and it's something that I try to emphasize all the time. Sensory science isn't just about, tasting and smelling. It's about understanding how our senses shape our whole experience.
Okay, tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Have you ever, walked into a store and you just felt drawn to a specific product? Maybe you don't even know why.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Especially, candle stores. I don't know what it is about candle stores.
Yeah.
But, I'm done.
It gets you every time.
It's over.
But it wasn't just the smell, right? It was probably the packaging, the lighting in the store, maybe even the music that was playing in the background. Companies spend a lot of money on this thing called sensory marketing. It's about using your senses to get you to buy something.
So they're playing us.
In a way, yeah.
Like we're instruments.
Pretty much. And it's everywhere. Once you realize it, you start to see it.
Wow, okay.
The crunch of a potato chip, the color of your drink, even how heavy something feels when you hold it, it all changes how you see things and whether you decide to buy something or not.
I'm never going to look at the grocery store the same way again.
Probably not.
That's wild.
But the good thing is, once you get how it works, it gives you more control.
Oh, okay. How so?
When you know how they're trying to get to you, you can decide what you actually want. Do you really love that perfume? Or is it just the fancy bottle?
Right.
Does that coffee actually taste better? Or do you just like what they're doing with their advertising?
It's like seeing behind the curtain.
Exactly.
But even outside of shopping, are there other ways we can, use this sensory wisdom in everyday life? Yeah, instead of just going through life, letting our senses kind of run the show, we can, actually pay attention and be in the driver's seat,
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even just about, avoiding those marketing tricks. Think about making your house a nicer place to be. Aromatherapy, for example. That's not just some fad. There's real science behind that. How certain smells can change your mood.
Right. Okay.
It's true.
So maybe I should, put away the pumpkin spice candle for now.
Maybe.
And try something a little more, I don't know, relaxing.
Exactly. Or even just think about the colors you're using in your house. Or the, feel of the furniture, what you hear around you, all that stuff. It all adds up to how you feel when you're at home.
So it's we can all be sensory scientists, but for our own lives.
That's a great way to put it. It's about, noticing the little things that we usually don't and using that to just, enjoy things more.
I love that. So we're not just making stuff taste or smell better. We're talking about changing how we see the whole world.
Exactly. It's about being present and appreciating those everyday moments, really tasting your food or noticing how the light changes during the day, just those small details that can make life feel richer.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about it, how just paying attention to your senses can make such a big difference.
It really can. And, it takes practice, like anything else. But the more you use your senses, the more you pick up on those small details.
I love that. So we went from, figuring out what a sensory scientist even does, all the way to how their skills can, help us in everyday life. Before we wrap up here, got any, fun facts about this field?
Actually, yeah, I do. Did you know that sensory scientists have been hired to analyze how cow manure smells? No. There's a whole area of research about making livestock, better for the environment. And part of that is figuring out how to make what comes out of them smell less bad.
I never would have thought of that. Sensory science really is everywhere, huh?
Totally. It just shows you how important our senses are, even for the things that we'd rather not think about.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's ready to, go on their own sensory adventure, what's one thing they can do today to tap into their inner sensory scientist?
Try this tonight. Eat your dinner with your eyes closed. Pay attention to how the food feels, what it smells like, how the different flavors hit your tongue. You might be surprised by what you notice.
That's such a cool idea. And on that note, we'll let you go enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of sensory science. Until next time, keep those senses sharp.